Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the next part of the farming guide that I made. The first one was like herbs and making money with herbs. You don't really get any experience from that though, so for this one we're going to be talking about doing tree runs, both regular trees and then fruit trees, which are pretty amazing ways to get a ton of experience. It costs a lot of money, but hopefully if you can balance out like making money and also spending money, then you can kind of break even and get tons of levels. Yeah, the Kebos Lowlands is coming out in January 10th, which is just a couple weeks away, and that is going to include the farming guild, so a lot of people are looking for ways to get their levels up. And I would say if you do tree runs fairly consistently, like depending on what level of trees and what types you're doing, you can get you can do 2 runs per day, and I think I got from level 34 I was in at the end of the last video up to 83 over the course of like maybe 2 weeks. And while I was doing that, I got ultra lucky and got the Tangler root pet right here when I was at only 55 farming, which was ridiculous. I was doing willow trees at the time, which was like a 1 in 16,000 chance, and I think I'd done around 10 or something, so I super didn't deserve it. It was it's just like really lucky. But Tangler root's the only pet I have right now. So I just wanted to, yeah, I don't know, people seem to like the herb guide, and I rewatched it and I was like, man, there's so much more of this skill now. I've been doing it for a while, and so I just thought, you know, next step I think people should look into is tree runs. So we're gonna do some of those here today. So as far as requirements go, you can actually start this as low as level 15 for regular trees and then level 27 for fruit trees, but I personally would recommend that you get level 42 so you can do both curry trees and willows, because these give really good experience, as well as the seeds themselves and the payment that you give for them are very cheap. And then for your quest requirements, you're probably going to want to have the Tree Gnome Village done, as well as the Grand Tree. This will allow you to use spirit trees to teleport around, as well as the Gnome Gliders, which is going to make getting to some of the fruit trees a lot easier. As well as you're going to want teleport methods to Ardoin. I personally use the Easy Cloak because it works, but if you just use the regular teleport to the town, that'd be great as well. Additionally, if you want to unlock a really easy to get to fruit tree, if you start Morning's End Part 1, that'll give you teleports right to another tree patch, but in order to start Morning's End Part 1, you have to complete Roving Elves, which, to complete Roving Elves, you have to complete Regicide, Underground Pass, Biohazard, Plague City, and the Waterfall quest, as well as Sheep Herder. You don't have to complete Morning's End Part 1, you just have to start it, and but it's for only one more patch, and it's a pretty difficult requirement, so if you have that available to you, then absolutely go for it, but if not, don't worry about it. You can still get great experience with only the 4 fruit tree patches. And as for the locations of all the tree patches, there's one in Lumbridge, there's one in the Falador Park, there's one in Taverley, one in Varrock, right next to the castle, just outside the Grand Exchange, and one inside the Tree Gnome Stronghold, right next to Neve and the bank. And the fruit tree patches are located just outside of the Tree Gnome Village. There is one also inside the Tree Gnome Stronghold, and there's one in Catherby. And the last one you can get to without Morning's End Part 1 is in Brimhaven. And if you have started Morning's End Part 1, you can teleport to the last fruit tree patch, which is in Ledia right here. So in order to actually do your tree runs, you're going to need these little potted saplings, which you can either buy directly off the Grand Exchange, or if you have seeds that you want to use, you just have to get a filled plant pot, which you can buy at any of the farming shops. Like there's one, for example, in Catherby right here. You can buy like packs of 100 filled plant pots for really, really cheap, and then you just use a gardening trowel, or use your seed on the pot with a gardening trowel in your inventory, and then just water the plant pot somehow. I use a watering can. If you have the Lunar Spellbook unlocked, you can water an entire inventory with one cast. Otherwise, you have to keep filling up your water cans. And then if it has that little W next to it, then you can just put it back in the bank or leave it in your inventory for however long. Okay, and then once you have all of your saplings ready, you just grab your teleport methods. So you're going to need your teleport to Ardoin, as well as teleports to Varrock and Falador. And then if you have started Morning's End Part 1, bring one of your teleportation crystals. And if it's your first run for doing trees, you're going to need a rake and a spade. If you have already done runs before, you don't need the rake, but you might as well bring one just in case something tragic happens. And if you have done more runs, make sure to bring some coins. And then go ahead and teleport to Lumbridge. So if you're doing all of the trees like I am, you're going to need 2,030 coins. If you're not, just bring like 3,000 coins, maybe 5,000 coins. It's not a huge issue. Anyways, from Lumbridge, you just want to run around out back here, and you'll find the first patch for your trees. If you haven't done a run, you'll just have to rake away the weeds, and if you have done a run, then you can just check on it. And then if you have a tree here, you can talk to the farmer nearby. You can right click them and they should have the pay option. If you pay them 200 coins, they'll chop down your tree instantly, and you don't have to have the wood cutting level to cut it down. Normally you could cut it down yourself, like just by wood cutting the tree and then dig it up with a spade. Oh, I forgot my payment method. Make sure you don't forget whatever payment method you need, which you can find that out from the farming guide. You just look at whatever tree you're going to grow. So like if you're doing willows, you need a basket of apples, and I'm doing magic trees, so I need coconuts. And then also for your fruit trees, whatever you're doing, I'm going to need papaya fruits. And the nice thing about it is some of the payments are pretty high. Like I think I need 25 coconuts per tree, but you can pay the farmers with whatever the payment is as a note. So that's good. Like if you're doing curry trees, you need 5 baskets of bananas per tree, but you can just note them all. So you could just grab 20 baskets of bananas as notes. And then you just give the pay the farmer, and then they'll watch it and make sure it doesn't ever die. So this is like a guaranteed method to keep your trees living, which is great because if they die, they're very expensive. From here, probably teleport to Falador, and then we can run over and check our other tree right here. And just repeat the process with having the tree cut down, replant your sapling, and then be the gardener. So the interesting thing about doing trees is they're fairly expensive. Like each one of these magic trees costs 132,000 gold, which is like a ton of money. And I personally did willow trees from like level 40 until I think 70 or something farming, just because they're very, very cheap. But when you start getting up into like the maple trees are like 35,000 per tree. Yews are like 75 to 80,000, as well as you have to pay 10 cactus spines each for each tree, and each cactus spine is like 2,000 gold. So your payments between the cost of the seed and the payment, it's like 100,000 gold for yews. And then magic trees, are very expensive as well. But like the amount of experience that you get. Okay, so after you talk to this guy, go ahead and teleport to Varrock. The amount of experience you get per tree pretty much almost doubles as you go up from like a maple gives like 3,500, and then a yew tree gives like 7,700, and then a magic tree gives just over 13,000. Yeah, 13,700. So the cost generally almost doubles, but then the experience also almost doubles. So it's kind of like the GP per XP is about the same, regardless of whatever type of tree you do. But just doing higher level trees gives you experience faster because it takes slightly longer to grow, but not like twice as long. It doesn't take 2 times as long and you get almost double the experience. So I'm also just doing the highest level trees because I'm getting the seeds for free from Zulrah, so it's not the worst ever. So anyways, after this Varrock tree, go ahead and travel with the spirit tree in the Grand Exchange and go to the Tree Gnome Village. And you can just follow Elkoi out of the maze, and he'll take you back to the entrance. And from here, the next tree is a fruit tree, and it's just right here. And then go ahead and follow Elkoi back through the maze, and then go back into the Tree Gnome Village, and then talk to the spirit tree again, and travel over to. And so then from the Grand Tree, I like to run over here to the last tree patch. I'm saying the word tree an awful lot in this guide, but maybe that's to be expected since it is a tree guide. Anyways, so just run over to this next patch, which is right next to the bank right here, and Neve, and you can check the health. And then find Prissy Scylla, who wanders around this area quite a bit, so she might be kind of hard to spot. Most of the other farmers stand right next to the patch, but she kind of wanders around. And then plant your tree, and then pay the nice lady, and then run back up over here to our next fruit tree. And then pay Bolongo. His name always makes me think of baloney, but whatever. And same old thing as always. I forgot to harvest my coconuts out of there because I'm an idiot, but that's not the end of the world. And from here we're going to want to run to the top of the Grand Tree so that we can use the glider out to Catherby. I think if you're also on the Lunar Spellbook you can teleport to Catherby, but I would prefer just to use this glider because we're using the other teleports on the normal spellbook. So, whoops, sorry Tangle Root. always gets in the way of stuff. You just keep on climbing up. And then talk to Captain Erdo. And then go to these big mountains. If you're a lower level, when you get here, you'll probably be attacked by the white wolves on top of the mountain, which, like, there's a level 25 one, and I think there's like a level 61 somewhere or something. So you need to be kind of careful if you're super low level, or if you're just only a skiller, you know, and just have like 10 health or something. But, you know, if you don't only have 10 health, then you're probably fine. But anyways, from here it's just a short run down into Catherby, where the tree is at, on like the far side, the far east side of Catherby, along the beach. And yeah, if you have fruit trees, you can harvest whatever fruit they have. And if you look at the... that is the wrong guide. Look at the guide for fruit trees. It's like banana trees, the payment is apples, and like orange trees, it's strawberries. Okay, that's weird. But anyways, like the last 3 levels at least, it's like you need watermelon for pineapple, but then you need pineapples for papayas, and then you need papayas for palm trees, and then you need coconuts for magic trees. So like a lot of the items that you can pick from your fruit tree you're going to use later as payments for the higher levels of trees, so it's good to make sure to grab those, and then you can just note them with the exchange leprechaun who should be standing nearby. So it's always good to make sure to harvest your fruit trees, and then probably keep the stuff for later, just to save a little bit of money. And then next you're going to want to teleport to Ardoin. However you do it, I just use the cloak and teleports you outside the monastery. And then from here you're going to want to run over to this dock. So if you teleport to Ardoin with just the regular old spell, you'd come in here and just run south a little bit over to this transportation. And get a boat over to Brimhaven, which is where one of the last easy to access fruit trees is at. And I wasn't sure how to get there because it's like way off on the side island, you know, and I thought it was going to be a huge pain to get there, like I'd have to teleport to Kromjo and run all the way around. But you can just pay a fare to Captain Bromley right there for 30 gold, and he'll just take you on a ship right next to the patch, so it's actually really, really easy to get to. Because the only other way I knew how to get here would be like teleport over here with an Amulet of Glory and then run all the way, which would be horrible. Yeah, and then here's another fruit tree. And then, of course, if you have the teleportation crystals to take you to Ledia, you just click that, and then it puts you right here, and the tree patch is right next to this bank, which is also very convenient because then you end your run right next to a bank. You don't have to spend a lot of time, you know, going somewhere else, or bring extra teleports to get yourself out of the middle of nowhere. Kind of like if you end Herb Run, like on in Korand or whatever, you're just out in the middle of nowhere. But this puts you right next to a bank, which is good. Oh, but if you don't have this method, or you don't have this patch available to you, then you're going to end up kind of in the middle of nowhere. You could take another ship back to Ardoin for 30 more gold, and then you're okay, or you might just have to have some sort of like a ring of dueling or something to teleport out. So then the last thing I want to talk about is Fossil Island, which you have to complete the Bon Voyage quest to unlock this, but then you'll be able to plant an additional 3 hardwood trees, which are their own special category. To get to Fossil Island, you can just come over here to the dig site, just to the east of Varrock, or if you have a dig site pendant, you can just teleport here directly, which is what I did. And then you can talk to this nice man, the Barge Guard, and he will take you over to Fossil Island. And then you just run around to this farming patch back here. If you have 70 agility, you can just take a little shortcut through this hole, and then if not, you just run around. It doesn't hardly take much longer at all. And then you'll see these 3 patches right here. They're called hardwood tree patches. And if you check the guide in start growing under special, you can grow teak trees at level 35, and you can grow mahogany trees at 55 farming. And mahogany trees take about 3 days to grow and give you about 15,000 experience each, and then teak trees give about half that. The mahogany and teak seeds themselves are very, very cheap, but the payments can be kind of expensive. Like Yanillian hops are about 1,000 gold a piece, so they're slightly more, so it's about like 85,000 gold to get enough Yanillian hops to pay for the protection on these 3 trees. So I kind of would recommend farming your own, and I can make a guide about other random farming stuff that hasn't been covered yet between trees and herbs. Like Honestly, most of the money I've made from farming, I've been doing Yanilian hops because I wanted to do mahogany trees because they're really, really, really good experience. They can just plant them, pay the squirrels, and forget about it for 3 days, and then you get 45,000 experience instantly. Like if you just check the health on them back to back, your experience per hour is like 2.8 million or something, which is ridiculous. But anyways, yeah, if you have Fossil Island available, I would highly recommend that you also plant these hardwood trees, because if you know, like Christmas just happened and I was at my grandparents the whole time, so I wasn't really playing at all, but I had these trees growing, so I still got 45,000 experience without even playing, you know, for 3 days at all, so super good. Would very much highly recommend that you take the time to unlock Fossil Island. And so yeah, that's basically the whole procedure for doing tree runs, and then you just gotta wait for your trees to grow. They take quite a while. Like, standard trees that you plant take between like 5 and 8 hours, I think. The magic trees take 8 hours. And then fruit trees take much longer. It looks like they're around 18, 16, 15 hours? 15 hours, I think, for the ones I planted. So, you know, you just kind of do this in the morning and then maybe at night again, and you can, you know, get consistently in 2 tree runs or so per day, and you'll get tons and tons of levels. Like, I almost got a full level just from that. Yeah, just from doing that one run with these super high level trees. So farming's awesome because you can get really absurdly fast experience, basically passively, you know. The tree run itself doesn't take much more than 5 to 10 minutes or so, and I think I got over 100,000 experience. Yeah, 121,000 experience, as well as I would have gotten another 45 if my mahogany trees were done. So, I hope that this guide has been informational for some people and that you can start getting a bunch of levels really fast before the Kebos Lowlands come out on the 10th of January. And that'll open up the Farming Guild, and so we'll see what that has to offer. And maybe I can make a guide on that too when it comes out, just to look at the different stuff it has to offer. But thank you guys so much for checking this out, and I hope that you learned something and maybe it was enjoyable. So anyways, until the next one, I will see you around.